Ever feel like you're speaking a different language to the opposite gender, even when it's English? You're not alone. We've all been there. A simple conversation spirals into confusion, leaving both sides frustrated. One moment you're trying to communicate, and the next, it feels like your words have been twisted into something unrecognizable. This video dives deep into the subtle communication gaps between men and women, the little things that can sabotage relationships if we don't understand them. Take something as simple as talking about the car. He says, "The car needs an oil change." Simple, straightforward, meant to convey information. She responds, "I feel like we never talk about car maintenance until something goes wrong." Suddenly, what should have been a short exchange turns into tension. Why? Because men and women often communicate differently. Studies have found that men tend to use what's called report talk, which focuses on facts, efficiency, and problem solving. Women, on the other hand, often use rapport talk, which is aimed at building connection and understanding. So while he's thinking about the oil change, she's thinking about the relationship, the teamwork, the shared responsibility. And this happens all the time. Imagine she comes home after a long, stressful day and starts explaining everything that went wrong at work. He listens or tries to, but after a few minutes, he asks, "So, what's the solution to this problem?" To him, it's practical, logical, the next step. To her, it's frustrating because she's not asking for a solution. She's trying to process her emotions out loud, seeking empathy, not instructions. Women often verbalize feelings to co-regulate emotionally, not to get a checklist of solutions. Yet men's natural instinct is to jump in, fix things, and move on. That mismatch creates one of the most common frustrations in relationships. On the flip side, men's concise, solution-oriented responses can be misunderstood. He says, "It's fine." To him, it's a signal that he's ready to move past the topic or that there's no problem. To her, it's confusing, maybe even insulting. She responds, "What do you mean it's fine? We need to discuss all the options." What he means as efficiency interpreted as dismissiveness. This is where communication gaps turn minor conversations into arguments. Men often treat conversations like transactions. When a problem is presented, the goal is to provide a solution as quickly as possible. He says, "Just do X, Y, and Z to fix it," thinking he's being helpful. She responds, "I didn't ask for a solution. I just wanted you to listen." Women, meanwhile, prioritize the emotional subtext, the connection behind the words. When she shares a story about a friend's struggles, he might hear, "So, your friend needs a new job," while she's really expressing, it's not about the job. It's about how she feels and how we empathize with her experience. These differences, though subtle, are constantly at play, shaping the emotional climate of the relationship. And it's not just the words. Nonverbal cues and tone play a huge role. Consider a man saying, "I'm fine," in a flat, emotionless tone. To him, it's a simple statement. He needs space, he's processing, he's not upset with you. To her, it can sound like anger, resentment, or disinterest. Similarly, a woman giving detailed explanations may be seeking collaboration and connection. Yet he might see it as over-explaining or even nagging, tuning out to avoid feeling overwhelmed by information. These small misunderstandings build silently over time, creating invisible walls that keep partners from truly connecting. Even body language can be misinterpreted. A man may nod quickly and look away, signaling he has processed the information and is ready to move on. For women, maintaining eye contact and an open posture signals engagement and a desire for deeper connection. Both are trying to communicate, but the language is different, and misinterpretation is almost inevitable. Understanding these differences is the first step toward bridging the gap. So, how do we actually fix this? How do we stop these small miscommunications from becoming major conflicts? It starts with active listening. Active listening isn't just about hearing the words, it's about understanding the intent, the emotion, the needs behind the words. When your partner vents about a problem, try to focus on the emotion rather than jumping to solutions. For example, he might say, "I hear you're feeling overwhelmed by your workload," and she responds, "Yes, exactly. Thank you for understanding." That simple acknowledgement can prevent frustration and build connection. Another powerful strategy is asking clarifying questions without judgment. Instead of saying, "Why are you always so quiet?" try, "I notice you're quiet tonight. Is there anything on your mind you'd like to share?" This type of question opens space for conversation rather than creating defensiveness. It signals curiosity, care, and a willingness to understand, which is exactly what women are looking for in rapport-based communication. Mirroring is another effective technique. This is where you reflect back what the other person is expressing, showing that you've not only heard them but understood their feelings. For example, he might say, "So, you're frustrated because you feel unheard when you share your day," and she responds, "Yes, that's exactly it." This simple act of validation can diffuse tension, reduce misunderstandings, and foster empathy. Studies on communication consistently show that people feel closer and more connected when they feel truly heard and understood. Now, let's look at how these principles play out in real-life scenarios. Household chores are a perfect example. He says, "I thought we agreed I'd do the dishes after dinner." She replies, "I thought we agreed we'd tackle them together after the kids were in bed." Both are right in their own perspective, but without understanding each other's communication style and priorities, this seemingly small disagreement can escalate. By applying active listening, clarifying questions, and mirroring, couples can navigate these differences smoothly, transforming what could be a fight into a productive conversation. Text messaging, too, is a minefield. He texts, "Okay." She interprets it as anger or annoyance. He simply means, "Understood." Miscommunication isn't limited to in-person conversations. It spans all forms of communication. By applying the same strategies, seeking clarity, validating emotions, mirroring intent, couples can reduce tension and build mutual understanding, even over text. Understanding these differences also means recognizing the underlying needs and priorities of each gender. Men often value respect and autonomy, which explains why they might withdraw after unsolicited advice. Women often need validation and emotional attunement, which is why they ask, "Are you even listening to me?" Recognizing these patterns isn't about stereotyping. It's about seeing the intentions behind the words, creating a framework to communicate more effectively. Imagine transforming these insights into your daily life. Instead of a conversation about work turning into frustration, it becomes an opportunity for connection. Instead of a disagreement over chores becoming a fight, it becomes a collaborative problem-solving session. Small misunderstandings no longer spiral, they become chances to strengthen your bond. Start by noticing why he needs alone time after work. Perhaps it's his way of decompressing and processing his day. She might need to talk through her day to feel heard and connected. Recognizing and honoring these needs, rather than imposing your own expectations, is key to building harmony. Over time, this approach transforms communication from a battleground into a bridge, moving from cycles of miscommunication to genuine understanding. The key takeaway: relationships, not just about shared activities or shared spaces, they're about shared understanding. Men and women communicate differently, but those differences are not obstacles, they're opportunities. Opportunities to listen more deeply, empathize more fully, and connect more meaningfully. By learning to decode the invisible signals, interpret tone and body language, and respond with understanding and patience, you can transform your relationships. Conversations that once caused frustration can now strengthen your bond. Misunderstandings that once led to arguments can now lead to connection. So the next time your partner says, "It's fine," or "I just need to talk," pause and consider what they really mean. Listen for the emotion, not just the words. Ask clarifying questions. mirror their feelings, validate their perspective. These small shifts create big changes. You lines find that what once seemed like speaking a different language can become the most meaningful conversations of your life. Relationships thrive on understanding, not assumptions. They flourish on empathy, not correction, and they grow when we see communication not as a challenge to conquer, but as a bridge to cross together. Start applying these insights today and watch your relationships transform, one conversation at a time. From miscommunication to connection, from frustration to flow, you can turn everyday interactions into moments that strengthen your partnership, build trust, and deepen love. Ever feel like you're speaking a different language to your partner? Now, you're not just guessing, you're understanding. And understanding, more than anything else, is what builds lasting, meaningful connection.